All right, gather round, because if you blinked, you probably missed it. Or worse, you just checked the score and moved on, thinking it was just another game. Oh, how wrong you were. What happened yesterday was more than a match, it was a seismic event, a sporting singularity that warped the fabric of an entire season, leaving pundits scratching their heads and fans in a state of blissful, or perhaps utter, disbelief. We're talking about a title decider that defied all logic, scoffed at pre-match predictions, and delivered a plot twist so dramatic, Hollywood would call it unrealistic. Let's dive into the glorious chaos. Picture this, it's the final day of the season. Two giants, or rather, one titan and one plucky challenger, stand poised. Dynamo Nexus, the reigning champions, were cruising, needing just a draw to clinch their fourth consecutive league title. Their cabinet is already overflowing, probably needs an extension. Then we have Atlético Zenith, the perennial bridesmaids, hungry for their first major trophy in over a decade. They had to win. Not draw, not lose. Win. The stakes? Higher than a giraffe's ambition for a career in limbo dancing. The tension was palpable, even through my screen. Let's not mince words, Dynamo Nexus were the odds-on favorites, and for good reason. Their season stats weren't just good, they would dominate your local chess club while blindfolded good. They boasted an average of 2.7 goals per game, the highest in the league, and conceded a measly 0.6 per match, the lowest. Their star striker, the Falcon Ferreira, had bagged 28 goals, accounting for 35% of their total output. Betting markets had them at 1.25 to win the league. Atlético Zenith? A respectable 7.5. It was less a prediction, more a foregone conclusion. Atlético Zenith, on the other hand, had endured a rollercoaster season. They started strong, dipped mid-table, and then staged a miraculous late-season surge. They came into this final match on a 6-game unbeaten streak, but 4 of those were draws. Impressive resilience, yes, but against top-tier opponents, they often lacked the killer instinct. Their top scorer, the architect Silva, had 14 goals, less than half of Ferreira's tally. So, while they were flying high on confidence, the raw data suggested they were bringing a well-maintained scooter to a Formula One race. A valiant effort, perhaps, but ultimately futile. Pre-match, the tactical blueprints were supposedly clear. Dynamo, under the tactical maestro coach Varga, were expected to dominate possession, press high, and exploit Zenith's flanks with their lightning-fast wingers. Zenith's coach Morales, a known pragmatist, was predicted to set up a compact low block, soak up pressure, and hope for a counter-attack or set-piece miracle. It was the classic unstoppable force meets immovable object scenario, except everyone thought the immovable object would eventually just get moved. Spoiler, that didn't happen. Not exactly, anyway. From the whistle, Dynamo Nexus played exactly as expected. They controlled 68% of possession in the first half, completing 89% of their passes. Zenith barely got a sniff. Ferreira hit the post in the 17th minute, and a VAR check denied Dynamo a penalty in the 32nd minute. Zenith's goalkeeper, the venerable Wald Ivanov, made 3 crucial saves, looking more like an octopus with a vendetta than a human being. It felt like an inevitable tide, slowly but surely, wearing down the beach. Everyone assumed the goal was coming, it was just a matter of when, not if. Then, just moments before half-time, the unthinkable happened. Against the run of play, Atlético Zenith launched a desperate counter. A long ball, a flick on, and suddenly, their industrious midfielder, the unassuming engine Petrov, found himself with an acre of space. He unleashed a shot from 20 yards that took a wicked deflection off Dynamo's star defender, the Rock Schmidt, and looped over the despairing dive of the goalkeeper. 1-0 Zenith. The stadium erupted in a mix of euphoria and absolute stunned silence. It was like finding a unicorn doing your taxes, completely unexpected, and probably a little bit magical. Halftime was a flurry of activity. Coach Varga of Dynamo was seen visibly fuming, probably rearranging his tactical whiteboard with more force than necessary. Morales, on the other hand, looked like a cat who'd swallowed a very large, unexpected canary. Pundits on TV scrambled to explain how their certainty had just been turned into, well, actually. It was a beautiful moment of collective recalibration, as millions of people adjusted their mental scoreboards and probably their blood pressure medication dosages. The second half was now set to be an absolute thriller, not just a coronation. The second half was less a football match and more a 45-minute siege. Dynamo threw everything but the kitchen sink, and probably a few kitchen appliances, at Zenith. They registered 15 shots in the second half alone, 8 of which were on target. Ferreira hit the woodwork twice. Zenith, meanwhile, dug in, defending with a desperate grit that bordered on the heroic. Every clearance was cheered like a goal, every block felt like a last-ditch effort to save humanity itself. It was a masterclass in bend, but don't break, though creak and groaner might be more accurate. Just when Zenith fans dared to dream, Dynamo found their breakthrough. In the 78th minute, after a dizzying passage of play, the Falconer Ferreira finally broke through. A precise header from a corner kick, bulleting past Ivanov, left him with no chance. The roar from the Dynamo faithful was deafening. It felt like the natural order of the universe had been restored. 1-1, back to square one, or rather, back to Dynamo being champions. The air went out of the Zenith balloon with an audible asterisk whoosh star. It felt like the fairy tale was destined to end right there. With the score level, Dynamo were once again champions. Zenith needed a goal, and quickly. The final 10 minutes, plus stoppage time, became a frantic, breathless scramble. Zenith, who had barely strung 2 passes together in the second half, suddenly found an unexpected burst of energy. Dynamo, perhaps complacent, perhaps exhausted from their relentless attack, seemed to drop their guard just a fraction. It was pure chaos, bodies flying, desperate tackles, and the referee suddenly looking like he'd forgotten his whistle at home. You could feel the season hanging by the thinnest of threads. As the clock ticked past the 90th minute, the fourth official held up the board, 5 minutes of added time. 5 minutes. Enough for a quick cup of tea, or, as it turned out, enough for an entire footballing destiny to be rewritten. Dynamo were trying to run down the clock, holding possession deep in Zenith's half, frustrating their opponents. But Zenith weren't giving up. A desperate tackle won them the ball back in their own box. The crowd was on its feet, a primal roar echoing around the stadium. You could almost taste the desperation. And then, with literally seconds left on the clock, a long clearance from Zenith's defense wasn't dealt with by Dynamo. It bounced to their unlikely substitute, young striker the poet Jensen, who had only been on the pitch for 10 minutes. He'd never scored a senior goal. Not one. But with the ball at his feet, 25 yards out, he didn't hesitate. A first-time strike, a sweet connection, and the ball flew like an arrow, swerving past the outstretched fingers of Dynamo's goalkeeper and nestling in the top corner. Pure, unadulterated pandemonium. Silence, then a roar that could wake the dead. 2-1 Zenith. The season was flipped. The referee blew his whistle barely 30 seconds after the restart. Final score, Atlético Zenith 2, Dynamo Nexus 1. What followed was an explosion of raw emotion. Zenith players collapsed in tears, in hugs, in sheer disbelief. Dynamo players, meanwhile, crumpled to the ground, utterly devastated, their season's efforts crumbling in the cruelest way imaginable. The stadium was a riot of noise, half euphoric, half stunned. This wasn't just a win, it was a revolution. And Jensen, the kid who had never scored, was suddenly the most famous person in the country. Talk about a glow-up. In the immediate aftermath, the prevailing emotion was simply disbelief. How? How did this happen? Dynamo Nexus, the juggernaut, beaten by a team that many had written off entirely. Coach Varga, usually stoic, looked like he'd seen a ghost riding a unicycle. Coach Morales, however, beamed like a proud parent whose child just aced a test they didn't study for. The post-match interviews were a fascinating blend of raw elation and utter despondency. It was a stark reminder that in football, as in life, nothing is truly certain until the final whistle blows, and sometimes, not even then. Before this match, the narrative was clear: Dynamo Nexus were cementing their dynasty. After it, the narrative shattered into a million sparkling pieces. This single result didn't just decide the league title, it fundamentally reshaped the perception of both clubs for the foreseeable future. Dynamo, once seen as invincible, now face questions about complacency. Zenith, the underdogs, are now champions, elevated to a status they've yearned for. It's like watching a perfectly sculpted ice castle melt into a puddle, beautiful, but utterly devastating for its creators. Beyond the emotional rollercoaster, there's a serious financial impact. For Dynamo, losing the title means missing out on an estimated €25 million in prize money, broadcast revenue, and lucrative Champions League bonuses. For Zenith, winning means an unexpected windfall of at least €30 million. This isn't just bragging rights, it's a massive shift in economic power. That's enough to buy a small island, or at least a very good left back. The difference could dictate transfer budgets, player retention, and even stadium improvements for years to come. One goal, millions of euros. Individually, the impact is just as profound. Jensen, the hero, has seen his market valuation skyrocket overnight, from a modest €500,000 to an estimated €15 million. From a promising youth prospect to club legend in one swing of a boot. On the flip side, Dynamo's The Rock Schmidt, whose deflection led to Zenith's first goal, might find his valuation slightly less buoyant. It's a brutal business, where a single moment can redefine a career trajectory, pushing some into the stratosphere and others, well, perhaps a slightly less comfortable stratosphere. Coach Morales of Atlético Zenith is now being hailed as a tactical genius. Was it foresight, or was it simply good fortune? He brought on Jensen in the 85th minute, a move that seemed desperate at the time. Now, it looks like a stroke of master planning. Critics might argue it was pure luck, but as they say, fortune favors the bold. Or perhaps, fortune favors the guy who happened to have the right kid on the bench. Either way, his stock has soared, and he's likely fielding calls from bigger clubs already. From under-pressure manager to kingmaker in 90 minutes. Contrast that with Coach Varga. For years, he's been lauded as a tactical titan, a man who could turn water into goal-scoring wine. But this loss? This dramatic, last-minute surrender of the title? It casts a long shadow. Suddenly, the questions are being asked. Was his team complacent? Did he make the wrong substitutions? Was the high press sustainable for 90 minutes? His previously unshakable reputation now has a few cracks. It's a harsh reminder that at the highest level, even the most decorated coaches are only as good as their last result. And this result was a gut punch. The psychological toll on Dynamo Nexus cannot be overstated. To be champions for 93 minutes, only to lose it in the 94th? That kind of emotional whiplash can leave scars. Doubts will creep in. Was it just bad luck, or a fundamental flaw? How do you recover from such a public, devastating loss? It's a mental hurdle that some teams never truly overcome. They might spend the next season chasing ghosts, forever haunted by the memory of what slipped through their fingers. Losing is tough, losing asterisk like this asterisk is soul-crushing. For Atlético Zenith, the psychological boost is immeasurable. This isn't just a trophy, it's validation, belief, and a massive shot of adrenaline for the entire club. They conquered the seemingly unconquerable. They defied expectations. This victory will fuel them for seasons to come, instilling a winning mentality and an unshakable belief that anything is possible. From underdogs to champions, they've written their own fairy tale. Every player, every staff member, every fan will carry that memory as a badge of honor. You can't put a price on that kind of confidence. This result has injected a potent dose of the underdog narrative into the league, which is great for viewership and engagement. Everyone loves a story of David beating Goliath, especially when Goliath had booked the celebratory banquet already. It proves that money and star power aren't everything, and that grit, determination, and a healthy dose of luck can still triumph. This match will be replayed, analyzed, and romanticized for decades, becoming a touchstone for every future challenger. It's the kind of story that reminds us why we love sports in the first place, isn't it? The media landscape has also dramatically shifted. Dynamo Nexus, who enjoyed almost universally positive coverage, are now facing a barrage of critical articles and analyses. Every past decision, every minor slip-up, is being re-examined. Zenith, previously confined to smaller sports pages, are now front-page news, their story dominating national and international headlines. The narrative flipped instantly, going from a Dynamo's glorious march to the Zenith's stunning triumph. It's a stark illustration of how quickly public perception can swing in the fickle world of sports journalism. Yesterday's heroes are today's cautionary tale, and vice versa. For Atlético Zenith fans, this isn't just a victory, it's a rebirth. Season ticket sales are expected to surge, merchandise flying off the shelves, and new generations of fans will be drawn to the club, eager to be part of the magic. Dynamo fans, while devastated, will likely remain loyal, but perhaps with a tinge of disappointment. The overall league, however, benefits from this upset. It injects unpredictability, keeping casual viewers hooked and sparking renewed interest across the board. Nothing sells a sport like genuine drama, and this was drama with a capital D-R-A-M-A. This kind of improbable upset isn't just local news, it resonates globally. Social media exploded. News outlets worldwide picked up the story, comparing it to other famous sporting miracles. The reach extends far beyond the traditional football fan base, drawing in casual observers who love a good underdog narrative. This match will be dissected in sports bars from London to Tokyo, cementing its place in the annals of sporting lore. It's the kind of moment that gets talked about at family dinners, even by people who usually think a corner kick is a complicated dance move. Looking ahead, this result promises an electrifying next season. Dynamo Nexus will be coming back with a vengeance, eager to reclaim their crown and prove this was an aberration. Atlético Zenith, now with the target on their back, face the challenge of defending their title, something they've never done. Other teams, seeing that the invincible can be beaten, will approach games with renewed confidence. The entire league dynamic has shifted, promising a far more competitive and unpredictable campaign next year. It's like turning up the difficulty setting on a video game, but in real life. Let's put this into perspective. Before this match, Dynamo Nexus had won 75% of their last 20 league games against Atlético Zenith. They were the undisputed big brothers. After this match, that percentage drops, but more importantly, the psychological edge is gone. For Dynamo, what was once a guaranteed 3 points now feels like a potential banana peel. For Zenith, what was once a daunting challenge is now proof of their capability. It's a mental shift that outweighs the simple statistic. The narrative has transformed from the expected outcome to anything is possible. So why did nobody see this coming? Well, part of it is human nature, we gravitate towards established patterns. Dynamo was the pattern. Their consistent performance, star power, and track record painted a very clear picture. Zenith's late-season form, while good, wasn't dominant enough to overturn years of perceived hierarchy. The unexpected element came from a confluence of factors: a deflected goal, a last-gasp sub, and a moment of pure, unadulterated individual brilliance from a rookie. It was less a prediction, more a prophecy from a deeply confused oracle. This upset now sits comfortably among some of sport's most famous surprises. Think Leicester City winning the Premier League, or Greece winning the Euros in 2004. These weren't just wins, they were cultural reset buttons. What distinguishes this one is the sheer timing, the very last kick of the season, directly deciding the title, against a team that had virtually owned the league. It wasn't a slow-burn underdog story, it was a sudden, violent explosion of unexpected triumph. It's like waiting for a meteor shower and getting hit by a surprise asteroid instead. Imagine an alternate timeline. What if Schmidt's deflection hadn't happened? What if Jensen's shot sailed wide? Dynamo Nexus would be celebrating their 4th consecutive title, cementing their legacy. Varga would be lauded, Ferreira hailed as the undisputed king. Zenith would be lauded for a valiant effort, but ultimately, another season trophyless. The financial implications would be reversed, the media narrative unchanged. It's a stark reminder of the razor-thin margins in elite sports, where a few inches, a fraction of a second, can redefine everything. Makes you wonder about parallel universes, doesn't it? Jensen's goal wasn't just a goal, it was a golden goal, a moment forever etched into the club's history. It will be the answer to pub trivia questions for decades. It will be the footage shown to inspire future generations of Zenith players. It will be the moment that Zenith fans recall with misty eyes and roaring pride. It transformed a promising youngster into an immortal. That's the power of these season-defining moments, they don't just affect the present, they shape the past and illuminate the future. And all from a kid who usually warms the bench. While Jensen took the headlines, let's not forget the collective effort. Zenith's squad depth, often criticized, proved decisive. Bringing on fresh legs like Jensen was crucial. Their defensive resilience, led by either Wall Ivonov, meant they soaked up sustained pressure. The engine Petrov's tireless running, and his unexpected goal, set the stage. It wasn't just one moment of magic, it was the culmination of a team refusing to buckle, a testament to the unsung heroes who put in the hard yards all season, culminating in this glorious, improbable triumph. Every cog in the machine played its part. For Dynamo, this loss highlights a potential Achilles heel, an over-reliance on the Falcon of Ferreira. While he delivered the equalizer when he wasn't firing on all cylinders, or when he was tightly marked, the team struggled to find alternative routes to goal. His 35% goal contribution is impressive, but also a warning sign. Perhaps the focus was too heavily skewed towards one player, leaving them vulnerable when the chips were truly down. It's a bit like having a supercar but forgetting to put gas in it, brilliant in theory, but falls short when it matters most. Ultimately, this match was a brutal test of mental fortitude. Under immense pressure, Dynamo crumbled at the critical moment. Zenith, despite being the underdogs, found an inner strength and resilience that few believed they possessed. It's a testament to how much psychology plays a role in high-stakes sports. The team that can handle the pressure, block out the noise, and execute when it matters most, often comes out on top. And yesterday, Zenith proved they had ice in their veins, while Dynamo, well, they had something much warmer. Remember that denied penalty for Dynamo in the first half? Had that gone their way, it would have been 1-0 to them much earlier, potentially changing the entire complexion of the match. VAR decisions often spark heated debate, but in this instance, the technology correctly ruled against them. It's a small detail that, in retrospect, takes on monumental significance. 1 millisecond, 1 pixel, the difference between a penalty and a wave on. Sometimes, the fine margins of technology play an unexpected role in the grand narrative. Interestingly, this match was played at Dynamo Nexus's home ground. You'd think the roar of their faithful, the familiarity of their turf, would be an insurmountable advantage. Yet, Zenith defied it. Perhaps the pressure of expectation at home became a burden for Dynamo, while Zenith, playing with nothing to lose, felt liberated. Or maybe, just maybe, when the stakes are this high, the roar of the crowd becomes white noise, and it all boils down to what happens between those white lines. Either way, home advantage took a vacation yesterday. Leading up to the game, Coach Varga made a confident statement, almost guaranteeing the title. "We are simply the better team," he declared. Coach Morales, in contrast, spoke of a fighting chance and a playing for pride. Varga's words, intended to inspire, may have inadvertently fueled Zenith's fire. It's a classic sports narrative, the confident favorite unwittingly motivating the underdog. Sometimes, a bit of humble pie before a big meal can do wonders. And yesterday, Dynamo got a whole bakery. What we witnessed wasn't just a football match, it was the birth of a legend, the shattering of a dynasty, and a stark reminder of why we fall in love with sports. This season-defining moment, a surprise to almost everyone, will resonate for years. It will inspire, it will frustrate, and most importantly, it will be talked about. It's proof that even when the numbers scream one thing, the heart, the grit, and a dash of pure, magnificent chaos can turn the script completely upside down. So, what's your take on this utterly bonkers ending? So there you have it. A match that started with Dynamo Nexus needing just a point to lift their fourth consecutive title, ended with Atlético Zenith, the unlikely underdogs, hoisting their first in over a decade. All decided in the literal dying seconds by a player who had never scored a senior goal. If that's not a narrative curveball, I don't know what is. It was a testament to perseverance, belief, and the beautiful, unpredictable madness of football. An entire season defined by one single, jaw-dropping moment. And honestly, I wouldn't have it any other way. This match serves as the ultimate advertisement for the unpredictable beauty of football. Just when you think you've got it all figured out, when the statistics and algorithms have painted a picture of certainty, along comes a moment that rips up the script and reminds you why we watch. It's not just about the skill, the tactics, or the big names. It's about the raw, unfiltered emotion, the sudden twists, and the sheer, improbable audacity of hope. What a game! What a season! And what a way to crown a champion! You just can't make this stuff up. What did you think of this absolute cracker of a game? Were you one of the few who predicted the upset? Or were you like me, utterly convinced that Dynamo would cruise to victory? Let us know in the comments below what this match means for the league, for the teams, and for the beautiful game itself. Don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed the deep dive into the season's most shocking moment, and subscribe for more analytical content that tries, and occasionally succeeds, at making sense of sporting chaos. Until next time, keep those predictions wild, and your eyes on the ball.